guys, it's Kelly Latevola here, and I'm back with another video for Simon Says Stamp. Today we are going to be making some fun kind of summer cards with some distress oxide backgrounds and some Copic coloring. So we're going to be using the Dancing Fruits, the So Cool stamp set, the circle impression plate, and then the three-sided scallop. So I just picked out a couple of Distress Oxides. This is a combination of the original, the first 12 pack that was released, and the newest one. So I'm going to start off with some worn lipstick here. And originally, I'm working on a Ranger craft mat, so I can just wipe away my mess as I work. But originally I had thought that I was going to blend these kind of into white. So that was my original game plan. That did not what I ended up doing. So from the worn lipstick, I'm going to the Abandoned Coral, which I thought for sure picked raspberry would be my favorite color from the newest Distress Oxide release, but I actually think Abandoned Coral is going to take the lead. It's beautiful. And then the last color I'm going to put on is Candied Apple. And I just thought that it would be really fun to create kind of some backgrounds to set off, I guess, these cute little fruits and popsicles. So here's where I changed my mind and I decided that I didn't like the way that the white looked. I didn't show you all of the colors. I ended up using Fossilized Amber, Wild Honey, Spice Marmalade, Twisted Citron, Peeled Paint, Lucky Clover. So these are just some other ones, and I kind of matched them to the fruits that they'll be paired with. This is the Circle Doodles impression plate, or embossing plate, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to go ahead and run that through my Big Shot. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. You can see where the light catches it. It's very subtle, but it just gives it that little bit of added interest. And to add even more interest, and because I love the oxidation that these Distress Oxides do, I am going to flick just a little bit of water on each of the backgrounds. Now I'm not working on watercolor paper, I'm working on Nina 80-pound cardstock. So I am going to flick on the water, and then I'm going to use a paper towel to blot up the majority of it. I just really need it to land on there to kind of get the look I'm going for. So for the fruits, I'm going to be using a couple of different Simon Says Stamp inks. This one is going to be Sunshine. I'm going to stamp the Solid Lemon. So it has a adorable little sentiment already in it. I think this one says Sunny Days and Lemonade, I think is that one. But anyway, they all have these most adorable little sentiments in there. This is the pineapple, and I use the Sunshine for both of those. And then I'm also going to use this, a new one from the new release, which is Key Lime for my pear. And then the last one that I used was the Watermelon ink, which is also from the newest release, and that's going to be for the apple. I love this pink. It matches my nail polish. How'd that happen? Because I love it, because I love the pink. So anyway, once I got those all stamped out, I'm going to stamp in the stems for the Solid Fruits using Khaki, which is an oldie but a goodie, also Simon ink. Now, because I wanted to pair them with outline images, the pineapple doesn't have an outline image, so I'm cheating. I am second generation stamping it so that it's super pale, but not so pale that I can't outline it. And I'm going to use the same thing. I'm going to use that Sunshine ink and the Key Lime to go ahead and stamp that. So then once I have all of my stamping done, I can go back in and outline that and make it look like it was intended to be an outline stamp. So I'm going to stamp all of these in Intense Black ink from Simon Says Stamp because it's Copic safe and we're going to be doing some Copic coloring. So I stamped out all of my fruits, and I also stamped out all of the popsicles. How convenient that there's 4 popsicles and 4 fruits, right? I mean, it's like they knew I was going to make this card. So I'm using a Copic Safe writing pen and just outlining that. I did use a smaller nib, so a 0.25 than I would normally use, because I'm just giving myself some barriers. When I'm done with the card, or done with the coloring, I will re-outline all of them again anyway. So we're going to start into the Copic coloring now. And I'm not going to be terribly neat about it because I'm going to be cutting all these out. So I'm using an E99 to draw just some texture on my pineapple, just to give it a little bit of something so that you know it's pineapple. Because we're going to do all the shading over top of it, those lines will not be that brazen. So I'm basically coloring all of the fruit as if it has a center highlight. So all of my shadows are going to be around the edges, leaving the center the lightest. For the pineapple, I added a little bit of orange, as well as the YR24 is also technically in the YR family, but it is more on the brown side. It's a little bit more subdued. So once I have those kind of blended out, I'm going to go in and add a little bit of shading into the center. Now, I don't want to cover up that highlight completely, but I don't want it to just look like I have little X's in the middle of there for no reason. I want it to have some texture. So I'm blending those out with all the same colors you've already seen me use. I'm going to blend out the edges with this Y08, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing one last time with my lightest color, which is a Y02, and I'm going to call it good and move on to the lemon. Using the same yellow combination for the lemon, that's what I did originally, and then I didn't end up really loving the way that it was looking. So for this fruit, I'm doing most of the shading on the bottom and a little bit on the top, because again, I'm looking for that center highlight, and lemons are round objects, but they're round in a different way. They're more oblong. So I put down the orange that, it's actually in the yellow family, but it looks orange. It's a Y38. Tricky Copics. And then I just really it didn't look like a lemon to me. So I decided that I was going to hunt up another color, and I ended up choosing a YR23, which is actually called Yellow Ochre, but it is again more of that brown tone, and it kind of just kind of covered up that orange, and I liked that a lot better, so I'm just going to blend that out just like I did previously. For the shading, I really just added it kind of on the bottom, and there are some lines in there that I tried to play up the shading. For my greens, because I was trying to match that key lime pie, I made my YG03 the only YG that I used, and then I did all the rest of the shading with just G's, because that key lime pie is as well as the distress oxides that I used, they're more blue based, so it means that they're a little bit cooler, they're not as bright. So for this one, the pear does have a little, kind of like a notch on the left-hand side. And so I just drew in a line, you can see that curved line there, to kind of exaggerate that, to give the pear a little bit more shape. This is the same thing, I'm just going around the edges. It has a little notch in the bottom as well. So I played that up, and I colored the leaf with the same color. Eventually I'll color all of the leaves with the same color. For the darkest color, I just added it where I thought it would be the darkest. So kind of played up those notches, and then I'm going to go back in, and because those colors are so similar, I didn't even feel like I needed to blend them back out with the G05 and all of that. I just went in with the YG03 and kind of kept going over the edges until I was happy with the way that it blended. To lighten up that leaf a little bit, I went in with a Y02. And then I colored all the rest of the greens. As far as the fruit, all of their leaves are the same color combination. For my apple, normally I go a little bit darker, but I was trying to, again, match that distress ink. You know, they're going to be friends on this card, and I want them to be all matchy-matchy because I have a real problem with that. So here, just basically the shading is going to be all around the apple, especially back behind the stem and then under the leaf. That would be the darker shading there, because we're doing that center highlight. At some point, I'm sure I'll be coloring these little fruits again, and I would love to, you know, do them with more of a light source. I think that they'll be really beautiful that way too. So for the darkest color, again, just adding that where I think it'll be darkest at the bottom underneath the leaf, and then I'm just going to work my way back into blending all of those colors out. And for the last thing that I'm going to color, I'm going to use just an E44. I thought it matched pretty well to the khaki for the one that I had already stamped, and I'm just filling those stems in. I'm not doing any shading at all. For the popsicles, I'm going to use the same color. So again, everything is friends and it doesn't contradict each other, and they all match, because I'm just so particular about the matching, I guess. So here, basically, I'm adding some shadows to the little, like the little pockets in the center. I'm also adding some shading around the edge of it. And then for the darkest color, I'm really just going to add shading, just one little line in the center, and then around the edges on the bottom and just on the curves of the popsicle. So then from there, I'll just start to work my way back out to the lightest color, adding just a little bit more shading on the bottom than I did on the top. and blending everything out so that they there's no harsh lines or anything like that. The main highlight's going to be really just on the top part of the popsicle. I just thought, you know, with these summer sentiments, you know, sunny days and lemonade and all of that, that popsicles would just really drive home that whole theme of being summertime. So for this one, the one on the left is going to go with the lemons, but the one on the right is going to go with the pineapples. So I'm doing the bottom half yellow, and I'm doing them all, this is the same thing as I did on the first one. You know, just really concentrating that shadow in the center of those little pockets. But the one on the right, I'm going to do the bottom half yellow and then the top half green. And I also added that orange back in, same thing that I did on the pineapple, that Y38. And then we're just going to work back out toward the lightest color, kind of blending everything in, and then giving it like one little high coat with the highlight color. For the pear one, I'm going to do the top shading on the one for the pineapple, so it kind of matches, yellow on bottom, green on top, just like a pineapple. And then for the one that actually is going to go with the pear card, I'm not really even doing too much shading. I decided I was kind of going to do a green stripe look. So I'm using each individual color to fill in one section, and then I'm using the next darkest color to add shading to just the sides of the popsicle so that there is some shading there. For the bottom, I'm going to go back in with the G28. I'm going to go over it 2 times so that there does look like an area where it's shaded, and then I'll just go over the whole thing with the Y38 so that it all is blended in and good. From here, I'm going to start adding in some of the details. These particular fruits come with little speckles and dots, and so they have some detail on them already. I decided to kind of play that up with some white gel pen, and I also added some dots to the pineapple so that it would fill in, since I kind of had to make my own. For this is the outlining I was talking about before. Now I've bumped it up from a 0.25 to a 0.35 so that line is thicker. And then I did all of that, and then I'm going to cut them all out. I'm going to fussy cut them. This is just my personal preference. I don't mind fussy cutting. Just when you fussy cut, make sure that you're keeping your dominant hand straight and you're turning the paper. After I did that, I actually ran the 3-sided scallop through my Big Shot, which is off screen, so I'm sorry I couldn't show you that. And then I'm going to use just some white fun foam. These pieces will fit across a whole 4 1/4 card. But I didn't want that. I want to cover up the whole background. So what I'm doing is I'm only using up to the 3rd scallop. So I adhered the white fun foam, and then I'm going to adhere them down. Each one's kind of in a different place. This one's more center. There's another one that's down from the top, one from the left, one from the right. You get the idea. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess, so that I have 3 scallops instead of 4, and you can see more of that background. Also, I didn't feel like I had to fill up this huge area with the things that I had. So I laid out all of my kind of pieces, parts, and then I wanted to give them some ground. I didn't want them just floating around nothing. So I'm going to use my gray markers to just kind of, I'm not touching the actual images. I'm just kind of running my pen along there and then just doing a really quick ground, blending out from the darkest color to the C3 to the C1, so everything's good and blended out, and it just gives them something to sit on, and it makes such a difference. I mean, I cannot even tell you. Well, you can see, I mean, from how it looks when it just sits there by itself to giving it that little bit of ground, just really makes it pop. So I'm going to hold the 2 lemons in place while I slide my popsicle in. I'm using my Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. I'm also going to glue down the outline lemon. I'm going to glue that down flat with the Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. For the sentiment, which is, you know, obviously part of the card, that matters. I mean, this is what you're sending people. I'm going to pop that up on some Scotch foam type. So I'm just trimming that little bit so that everything is fits nicely and you can't see it, and then I'm just going to pop that up on some foam so it's like doubly foamed. That's not a thing, I made that up. but you know what I'm saying. Double dimension. Double dimension. That sounds much cooler. Double dimension. So once all of that was done, I gave everything, all of the images, popsicles, pears, apples, whatever, a coat with the clear Wink of Stella, so there would be tons of shimmer on there. And then I'm also, speaking of shimmer, I'm going to create, instead of using sequins, I'm going to create some clear dots with this Nuvo Crystal Glaze. This is a new product to me. This one is clear. They do come in colors, but I was amazed at how easy it was to use, and every little dot came out round, which was amazing, because I took like no effort from me whatsoever. To make those sentiments pop just a little bit more, I gave all of them on every card a good healthy coat of glossy accents so that they would look like enamel stickers. And then that's it. That's all of them. So I really love the way they came out. I loved playing with those Distress Oxides for real. And I hope that you learned a little something. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.